All right, so I wanted to talk about. I wouldn't say um, effortless mastery or really uh, just kind of mastering the guitar or anything like that, but I want to talk about getting better at any endeavor and two concepts, and most of you probably might know these two concepts. One of them is the Pareto principle. The other one it deals a little bit more with like Dunning-Kruger effect. So let's talk about the Pareto principle, and I think it's very, very applicable to guitar playing or music in general. And basically, to simplify it, it's the 80-20 rule. So I think I first heard it uh, when I took an economics class, but I heard it a lot when I got into sales and marketing, the 80-20 rule, let's just put it that way, which was the contextually the way it was used is that I had a sales manager way back said that 80% of his sales came from 20% of the sales force. Okay, and that's basically the Pareto principle. So realistically, 80% of your gains are going to come from 20% of your effort, roughly speaking. So how is that applicable to guitar playing or any musical endeavors? But think about it this way. There's a lot of stuff that you can spend your time on to get better at the guitar. You can study chords. You can study how to be a better reader. You can do transcriptions. You can study the Lydian modes and all these other different modes. There's so much information out there that you can spend a lot of time just accumulating knowledge. When realistically, you don't know when you go into it. Perhaps 20% of the knowledge that you're going to gain is going to yield the 80% of the benefits of your playing, which is basically, how do I get better on this instrument? And, and for me, that's really what I try to find out. Okay, what are the areas that I need to focus more of? Because if you take the 80-20 rules, right, all that 80% that we're doing that's not yielding as much result is wasting time. And we all need time to get better at this stuff. So if I could figure out that 20% that I'm doing and I multiply that factor, I'm going to get better. This isn't all endeavors of achievement. So you think about, I got into swimming a little bit later in life, right? And so for me, the 20% that's going to yield the best in terms of my time might be getting better breathing technique. Okay, it might not be all of this stuff about the pull and all of these little intricacies. For you as a guitar player or as a musician in general, the 20% that might yield the best result, that's going to yield the 80% of the 20% of your efforts is going to yield the 80% of getting better, might be just transcribing songs. It might be playing out more. It might be learning a little bit more theory. What I'm trying to say, the 80-20 rule, right, it has to be personalized. It's different from individual to individual. So, so I'm constantly working at it. There are a couple of things I figured out that really took my playing to a different level. For me, the 20% that yielded the 80% result has to do a lot when I really learned inversions. It had to do a lot when I learned scales, but learned how to apply the scales in such a way that it wasn't scalular, but it was musical. Okay. The other things that's affecting me in terms of my knowledge, and that's really the 20% of my effort that's yielding a lot of results, is actually practicing slower. Okay. Another thing that I learned from me was learning chord melodies. That helped a lot. So anyway, work through that Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. Always realize that most of the stuff that you're doing is not going to yield the results you want to. You got to figure out that 20% that's going to be impactful. So that's the one area that you can get better in terms of your knowledge and in terms of your play. The other one, and I love this, I came across this, is the Dunning-Kruger effect. So basically, it's basically a cognitive bias that occurs when someone like overestimates their abilities in a particular area. Okay, think about it as overconfidence. Let's put it that way. And it's named after Cornell psychologists David Dunning and Justin Krugger, who first described it in 1999. So what I love about this concept, or at least this effect, the Dunning-Kruger effect, it's very applicable to me, to music. So there are 3 stages, and I love the names of these stages. Climb to Mount Stupid. Think about that one. The second one is the Valley of Despair. And the third one is the Slope of Enlightenment. Obviously, where you want to get to is the Slope of Enlightenment. Let's go to the Climb to Mount Stupid. All right. That's basically the Dunning-Kruger effect. So that's basically when you're very overconfident, but you lack the skill. Okay. So in all of the different stages of this, the things you have to look at is confidence and skill. Confidence and skill. In that first stage, climb to Mount Stupid. Okay. And some people never escape that. And I've been there for a long time sometimes in some endeavors, like with guitar playing. You think that you can play this because somebody told you that Jimi Hendrix learned to play and never learned any music theory. So you're very confident you can figure this stuff like that. But you're overconfident, but what you're lacking is skill. So it's almost like your confidence is overestimated and your skill is just not there. So it's overconfidence and lack of skill. Think of it that way. Some people never move from that stage to the next one, which is the Valley of Despair. And so part of the way you move from that first stage of climb to Mount Stupid is failure. Constant failure is good. And if you keep effing up, if you keep playing the wrong notes, off beat, off time, you know that you need to improve your skill, and this instrument is humbling, okay? And that you need to work on your skill. So that's the first level. So Valley of Despair. This is classic, and this is, I think, where people spend the most time of, and this is the little kind of Dunning-Kruger effect thing, which is where you are aware of your lack of skill, and your confidence plummets, all right? So in other words, think of it this way. You ever heard the saying, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, all right? So once you start learning some theory and you get a couple songs under your belt, you start like investigating, like, holy, you know what? I don't know this, I don't know that, like that. So your confidence kind of drops, but you're actually gaining more skill at that level, but your confidence goes down. So it's almost like a little bit of the opposite of Climb to Mount Stupid. So that's the Valley of Despair. All right, which is basically you realize you do not you have better skills, right? But you're scared now. You're like, wow, this thing's a lot harder. All right. The next one is where we want to get to, which is the Slope of Enlightenment. There you go. That's I'm not saying it's gonna be your Wes Montgomery or your Pat Martino or your Jimi Hendrix or anything like that. Everything is subjective to where you want to be as a guitar player or as a musician. So your slope of enlightenment comes when there is somewhat of a marriage about your confidence and your skill level. You know what you want to play, how you want to play it, You know your strengths and your limitations. It's not going to say that you're going to be the next Jimi Hendrix or Jim Hall or what have you. It's all personalized from that. So those three stages are sort of like, I don't mean to be cheeky, the Dunning-Kruger effect, and how you can apply that stuff to your guitar playing or any endeavor for that matter, which is climb to Mount Stupid, which is I think where we all start. Yeah, this is going to be easy. I'm very confident, but I lack skill. Valley of Despair, I'm gaining some skills. But then I realized, whoa, there's a lot more to be learned. So your despair. And the last one, when you reach Mecca, and some of us never reach that. I'm not there yet. So it's a constant battle, the slope of enlightenment. So there you have it. I'm sorry for this long message or this long video. Just ways to use other concepts to become a better guitar player, a better musician. And, both the Pareto principle and the Dunning-Kruger effect are just two things that you can leverage, not just for music, just for any endeavor, whether it be athletics, in life, your job. And there you have it. As usual, practice, practice, and practice some more.